This is the fourth part of our video on measurement review, and we're going to take a look at question number 3A from the sheet. So it says, for the following shape, calculate the volume. So volume is the space on the inside of a three-dimensional shape. So you want to think like if I was trying to fill this up with water or sand or air, right, how much would go on the inside of the shape? Okay, so when I'm doing volume, I do use the formulas from my formula sheet, and I want to try to see if I can figure out which shapes on this sheet make up the shape that I have. So I think this is a rectangular prism on the one side and a triangular prism on the other side. That's what I'm seeing. So I'm going to try to find the volume of the rectangular prism that's there, and then find the volume of the triangular prism, and then add those two things together. So sometimes what I like to do is just redraw the shape that I'm doing, or you can leave it here and then just try to label on the diagram. But I am going to start with the rectangular prism. Or on the sheet, I believe they called it a rectangle-based prism. I'm just going to draw myself a smaller version that I can label. So I know from the picture that the height is 100. This part across is 150. And then the 225 on the bottom, that's not just the rectangular part, that's the whole side. So just this bottom part is 150. And then this, the width here, is labeled way over here on this side. It is 80 meters. Okay, so if I look at the formula sheet and I look at the rectangle-based prism, I see that they've marked that the width is the one in the front, the length is the one on the side, and the height is the one going up and down. And then the formula for volume, we have a choice. We have the area of the base times the height. I am not using that one. I'm going to do length times width times height. So the volume is length times width times height. You'll notice that I use uppercase versions of the letters because otherwise my L's look like ones. All right, the length, 80. The width, 150. The height, 100. So we are doing 80 times 150 times 100. I'll check that one more time. All right, so lots of zeros here. This is 1,200,000. And that would be, we did meters times meters times meters, so meters cubed. Okay, up next, we have the triangular prism or the triangle-based prism that is on this side over here. So I'm going to try to figure that one out next. Same idea, I'm going to try drawing what's there to help me out. Now I will say that this diagram I've mentioned before is the worst one on the entire sheet, but we're going to try to make it work. So a triangle-based prism has a triangle on the ends and then sides, like just long sides that go the other way. That didn't make any sense. I apologize. So first thing you want to do is try to find the triangle in the triangle-based prism. So here, there's a triangle on the bottom, and then there's a triangle on the top. For me, the triangle I have is here. That's this face that's here, right? That's the triangle part versus on here, the triangle is down at the bottom. Okay. Okay. Things that I know from the picture is that this part here is 80. I know that this part here is 125. The straight up and down should be 100. And then this part I don't know, but I can calculate. So I know the whole length is 225. And then I know that just this part here is 150, the part for the rectangular prism. So if I subtract 225, take away 150, I get that that little section there is 75. All right, only other thing that I am going to label, when I cut this, it did create a 90-degree angle there, if that helps. Okay, so we're going to come back to the shape on our sheet. We're going to do our best to try to match up our letters and see what we can do. Okay, so in the triangle, the bottom of the triangle is the base, or B, and this part inside, which in my opinion should be the height, is the length, and they meet at 90 degrees. So I have 90 degrees here, so that means the 75 is the base, and then the 100 is what they're calling the length. And then the height is kind of the non-triangle part, so that would be this part here. And then at the top of the triangle, we also have A and C, which means that this side down here is A and this side down here is C. So they're the other two sides in the triangle. The problem is I don't have another side over here. So this side would be my C, but I don't have a separate side A. My side A is actually doing double duty as both the length and side A. So this 100 over here is the third side of the triangle, and it's the height of the triangle at the same time. So it has two jobs, right? So it's going to be both the A and the L, which is weird, right? And it's tricky to figure out, but that's how that's going to get labeled. All right, so all I need to do is write down my formula. So volume is, I have choices. I don't want the word equation. I like the base times length times height divided by 2. If you prefer the 1/2 base times length times height, go for it, but I'm going to use this one. So base times length, I'm going to use a capital L because otherwise they look like a 1, times height divided by 2. All right, so my base, we said, is 75. The length is 100. The height is 80. And then that is divided by 2. All right, so 75 times 100 times 80, and then divided by 2, I got 300,000. I'm just going to check that one more time. Yep, we've got 300,000. And that should be meters and cubed because I multiplied 3 things with meters together. Okay, last thing I need to do is combine those two volumes. These two shapes are basically just being added together, right? I have a rectangular prism, I have the triangular prism, and they're just squished together, right? It's not like one shape is cut out of the other. So I'm going to add those two together to get my total. I'm going to write that here. Total is going to be 1,200,000 plus 300,000 so 1,200,000 plus 300,000 is 1,500,000. A lot of zeros. And that should be meters cubed. And then the last thing I'm going to do is just finish off by saying the volume is 1,500,000 meters cubed. All right, well, that's going to do it for part A of question number 3.